What's up, everybody? Oh, thank you. Thank you. No, please, thank you. You're too kind. Thank you. No, keep coming back. Come back. Thank you. How are y'all doing? How's the week been? It's been good? That's good. I'm glad. I don't know if that was more corny or less corny than me doing the, It was more corny because I did the same thing, but again. Anyways, welcome back, everybody. Hope y'all's week has all been good. We're gonna talk about more music because why not? I guess like Earl Grey, the T is really good. But what about the rapper? You guys like Earl Sweatshirt? Earl Sweatshirt is by far one of the most interesting rappers of the past. Man, how long has Odd Future been a thing? Past 10 years? More than that. I feel old. Earl's been one of the most genre-defining rappers of the past 15 years, with his kind of monotone rap style over these really chaotic or ambient sounding samples on albums like Some Rap Songs. While not being as popular as some of his co-workers, if you will, that were also in Odd Future, like Tyler the Creator or Frank Ocean, Earl has definitely made a name for himself and is by no means not popular. He also has a lot of connections that are really interesting, whether in the form of features on his albums such as rappers like Navy Blue, or producer friends such as people like The Alchemist, who we will also be talking about in this video. Yes. Once upon a time, there was a point where Earl and The Alchemist had created an album together, released it onto YouTube under a fake name, and just kind of told people it was there. And said, go find it. Which is crazy, and probably one of the most interesting things The Alchemist has done. He's done a lot of interesting stuff, but that one was cool. And that album is what we know today as VOIR, or at least I think that's how you pronounce that. I'm not 100% sure. But either way, that's going to be the topic of this video. Today we will be going into a history of VOIR and why it was thrown onto YouTube like it was, and if anybody found it at the time. But before we get into any of that, my name's Henry, I love music, and this is where I talk about it. My last two videos have done a lot better than I ever thought they were going to. I think they're both sitting at around somewhere like 120 views, which is still so cool to me. So I appreciate you guys for checking out my stuff. If you're new to the channel or you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. It's free, you can change your mind later, and if you turn on notifications, you will never miss when I upload, which is awesome because I upload once a week. How cool is that? Also, if you like the video, it will do nothing for you, but it'll make me really happy, so please. But anyways, we'll continue with the video. So let's think back to a time long ago called 2021. In 2021, I had horrendously short hair, which I will not be showing you. I was listening to Igor for the first time, and I don't think I even knew who Earl was. A little bit of background on me, I did not really start listening to my own music until around 2021. I think September of that year is when I finally got like my own Spotify account. So I started listening to my own albums, I started branching out in terms of music that wasn't just what my parents were listening to. So a lot of it was just what my friends were listening to at the time as well. And while Earl was someone that they all liked, it wasn't an artist that I had picked up while I was hanging out with them. So I wasn't aware of who he was at the time. But instead of locking in and listening to Earl like I should have been, I was doing who knows what, trying to find the music that I liked. During this time, in August of 2021, The Alchemist put out a tweet, and it says, Earl and I hit a whole album on YouTube under a fake name and YouTube page, fake album cover, song titles, the whole nine. Nobody found it yet. This sent the rap community into a spiral. One, because that meant there was new Earl music, and at the time, the album that had came out most recently was Feet of Clay, and the deluxe version of that in 2020. But in 2021, they hadn't gotten anything from Earl, unfortunately. And then The Alchemist, being one of the most profound producers in hip-hop and one of my personal favorites, collaborating with Earl, something that had been done before, but not to this extent being a whole album, was just generational. And so, after this, people started looking, and they still couldn't find it. It was still buried in YouTube. And to my knowledge, it still hasn't been found, at least the original version of this album. It may just be me not researching enough, but I looked it up, and I don't think anyone has found the original version of Voir Dire. It may not even be up, but to be honest, we don't know because no one has found it still. Fast forward to 2023, Henry was listening to more than just Tyler the Creator and Joji, and The Alchemist started revealing more about this album. A whole 2 years later, people discovered a link on Earl Sweatshirt's website that led to another website called Gala Music, which is a sort of music streaming / NFT website. It's complicated and frankly not very important. But anyways, they found a leak on his website that led to that website that had a puzzle for them. Every day, new hints would be added to this website and would ultimately lead to The Alchemist tweeting, "Speak the truth," which is the English translation of the phrase Voir Dire. On August 22nd, The Alchemist posted the track list of the album onto his Instagram, but the feature for the song Century was blurred, so no one knew what it was at the time. But that only lasted for like 2 days because he unblurred it. He folded under zero pressure. The feature was revealed to be Mike, the New York-based rapper, who's also one of my favorite rappers at the time, but I will make a separate video on him because I like him a lot. We'll talk about him later. A day before that, on the 23rd, The Alchemist had released a flyer for a listening party for this album, scheduled for the 25th of August that was going to happen in London onto his Instagram. And on that day, August 25th, Voir Dire was dropped for free on Gala Music, along with 11 NFTs to go along with each track. I'm being 100% for real. You can still buy 11 NFTs of Earl Sweatshirt songs. I mean, if that's your thing, more power to you, but I think that's really funny. The album remained off streaming services for a good while until September 15th, where it was revealed that it would launch on streaming services on October 6th, along with 2 new songs featuring Vince Staples. So that's the basic rundown of Voir Dire, but I want to point out the track list for both the Gala version and the streaming services version because there's a few differences that I want to make you guys aware of. This is coming from my Spotify. At the time, I didn't know that the songs were free on Gala, so I ended up purchasing the digital album. So I have the I have the MP3s of the Gala version of Voir Dire. A little fun fact about me that you probably didn't need to know. The track lists on both versions of the albums are relatively similar. The only difference is that Mancala and The Calcifate, both featuring Vince Staples, were added to the streaming release, as well as the song Heat Check, which is just a solo Earl song. The songs My Brother the Wind and All the Small Things were removed from the Gala version to be put onto streaming to make room for the Vince tracks and the extra Earl song that was added. After the release of the album, Earl announced that him and The Alchemist would be going on tour for this project. It was a very small tour. If I remember, there were only about 10 cities that they went to, and lucky for me, Dallas was one of them. If you don't believe me, just so you know that I practice what I preach. Boom! Read it and weep. This shirt is awesome. Also, fun fact, the cover of the single for My Brother the Wind on Gala is that horse image that you saw on that shirt. FYI. So now we've got the background. We've got the track list. What did the album actually sound like? To be honest, it kind of sounded exactly like an Earl and The Alchemist collab album. Like if you went onto an AI song generator and you asked it to print out a song that sounded like it had Earl Sweatshirt and it was produced by The Alchemist, that sounds like what would come out of it, which isn't a bad thing. It just sounds like you would think it would sound. The album was received pretty well by fans and critics. It didn't do anything outstanding or genre defining, but it was a good album. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of The Alchemist. I've been a fan for a while, and I think his sample work is unmatched, and it definitely shows on this album. So, critics and fans aside, what do I think about this album? Because again, this is my video and you're watching. I think the album is pretty good. I think it's very singular, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's definitely nothing crazy. What I mean by singular is just that it all kind of sounds the same. It's all Earl in a very monotone voice like he usually does. But I think it kind of works against him on this album a little bit. There are some tracks where it works really well. The beat is kind of upbeat, so it counteracts his monotone voice. but there are some tracks on the album where the beat is like really slow, and Earl's voice just kind of makes it like, if you know what I mean. I was also a little sad because my 2 favorite songs from the Gala release, All the Small Things and My Brother the Wind, were cut for the streaming release. So that was definitely a bummer. I was not happy about that. But the streaming release gave us 2 amazing songs, Heat Check and The Calcivate, which I thought were awesome. And Mancala, that song is also really good. I think overall the album is like a 7 for me. I'm really bad at ranking albums, not just like for others, but for myself. It's just not something I'm good at. So I feel like 7's a good number for it. But I also have a lot of quote unquote nostalgia for this album, even though it came out last year, because this is my introduction to Mike. I didn't know who Mike was before this. When I went to the Dallas show with my friend, it was my first time seeing Mike perform ever, and I was instantly put onto all of his music. His performance was outstanding, and I've listened to his entire discography since then, and he's become one of my favorite rappers. So VOIR will always hold a special place in my heart because of that. No, but I think the album is good. I think it didn't do anything crazy, but that's not a bad thing. It's just it's like a textbook good rap album. Yeah, I think that should about do it. This is going to be another short video. I got feedback from some different people, and they agreed that the short versions of the videos were a little bit easier to digest, at least right now. I love making longer content, and I do have plans for videos that will be decently long, but I think right now, just for like starting out, I think these short digestible videos will be pretty nice. The original plan for this video was to go through and rank all of the Alchemist's collab albums, but what I didn't realize is that there's like 40 of them, and I didn't want to do it anymore. And then I was thinking about VOIR and the kind of like backstory on it, and I decided this would be a fun video. But anyways, that's gonna be it. Like, subscribe, and comment if you love me. Goodbye.